Most men believe strength is visible. They think it announces itself through action, through aggression, through the willingness to confront and dominate. They are wrong. True power operates in silence. It moves beneath the surface of things, undetected until the moment it strikes. The man who needs to prove his strength has already lost. He has revealed his insecurity to anyone capable of seeing it. And in a world where perception shapes reality, this revelation is fatal. Machiavelli understood something most men never grasp. The appearance of power and the possession of power are not the same thing. One is theatre, the other is arsenal. The man who confuses the two spends his life performing for an audience that does not care, exhausting himself in displays that convince no one. Meanwhile, the truly powerful move through the world with quiet certainty, accumulating capability while others accumulate attention. This is the foundation of everything that follows. Masculinity is not a performance. It is a set of capacities developed over time through deliberate action and strategic restraint. The modern world is filled with men who mistake volume for authority. They raise their voices because they have nothing substantial to say. They posture because they have no position of strength. They threaten because they cannot execute. This is not masculinity. This is compensation. And compensation always reveals what it attempts to hide. Consider the man who constantly speaks of dominance, who structures every interaction as a contest he must win, who cannot allow disagreement without interpreting it as disrespect. This man is announcing his fragility to everyone in range. He is telling the world that his sense of self is so unstable that any challenge threatens to collapse it. The strong man does not need this. His foundation is secure. He can absorb disagreement without experiencing it as assault. Machiavelli wrote that the prince must know how to use both the lion and the fox, strength and cunning, force and strategy. But he was clear about which matters more. The lion who relies only on strength is easily trapped. The fox who understands timing and positioning survives. Most men focus exclusively on becoming lions. They build muscle, they practice aggression, they learn to intimidate, and then they walk directly into traps set by those who understand strategy. Real masculinity requires the discipline to develop capability in silence, to build strength without announcing it, to accumulate knowledge without displaying it, to position yourself advantageously while others are busy performing. This takes patience. It takes the ability to delay gratification. It takes the willingness to appear weak while you are actually growing stronger. The man who cannot do this is controlled by his need for a validation. He must prove himself constantly because he has not built anything substantial enough to stand on its own. His entire identity depends on external recognition. And anything that depends on external recognition can be destroyed by withholding that recognition. This is why the performer is always vulnerable. His power exists only in the eyes of others. True power is internal. It does not require witnesses. It does not need applause. It functions whether anyone acknowledges it or not. The capable man carries this certainty with him. When he enters a room, nothing changes on the surface, but everything has shifted beneath it. Those with strategic vision recognize this immediately. Those without continue their performances, unaware they have already lost position. There is a specific quality that separates effective men from ineffective ones. It is not intelligence, though intelligence helps. It is not physical strength, though strength has its place. It is the capacity to act with precision in the moment that matters, to see the opportunity and take it without hesitation, to recognize the threat and neutralize it before it develops. This requires something most men lack entirely. It requires emotional control. The man who cannot control his emotional reactions is a weapon that fires randomly. He is dangerous to everyone, including himself. He explodes when provoked. He collapses when stressed. He makes decisions based on feeling rather than assessment. And because his responses are predictable, he can be manipulated by anyone willing to trigger the right emotion at the right time. Machiavelli understood that showing emotion is giving information to your enemies. When you reveal anger, you show what threatens you. When you display fear, you expose your vulnerabilities. When you demonstrate pride, you advertise exactly where to strike, to wound you most deeply. The emotionally controlled man gives none of this away. He feels everything. He reveals nothing. And because his internal state remains hidden, his opponents must guess. Guessing creates uncertainty. Uncertainty creates hesitation, and hesitation creates advantage. This is not suppression. Suppression is denial. It is pretending you do not feel what you feel. This creates pressure that eventually explodes. Emotional control is different. It is feeling fully while choosing strategically which emotions to express and when. It is the difference between being controlled by your reactions and controlling your responses. Most men fail this completely. They experience anger and immediately express it, believing this demonstrates strength. It demonstrates the opposite. It shows they are controlled by their emotions rather than controlling them. The man who can be made angry on command is a slave. His strings are visible to anyone who cares to pull them. The alternative is simple but difficult. You feel the emotion. You acknowledge it internally. You decide whether responding serves your interests. If it does, you respond with precision and control. If it does not, you file it away and move forward. The emotion does not disappear. You simply refuse to let it dictate your actions. This is mastery, not over others, over yourself. Consider what this looks like in practice. Someone insults you publicly. The immediate reaction is rage. The body prepares for confrontation. Every instinct pushes toward retaliation. The weak man follows these instincts immediately. He escalates. He makes the situation worse. He gives the insulter exactly what they wanted, which was to provoke a reaction that makes him look unstable. The controlled man feels the same rage, but he pauses. He considers whether this person matters. He evaluates whether responding serves any purpose beyond satisfying his immediate desire for retaliation. He recognizes that some insults are best ignored because responding gives them weight they do not deserve. Other insults must be addressed, but strategically, in a way that establishes boundaries without appearing desperate to defend them. This calculation happens in seconds, but it requires practice. It requires the ability to insert space between stimulus and response, between what happens and what you do about it. Most men have no space there at all. They are entirely reactive. And reactive men are controlled by their environment rather than controlling their position within it. Machiavelli observed that princes who depend on fortune eventually lose everything. Fortune is fickle. It gives and takes without pattern or logic. The man who builds his life on favorable circumstances will be destroyed when those circumstances change, and circumstances always change. This is why self-sufficiency is foundational to masculine power. The less you need from others, the less control they have over you. Most modern men are completely dependent. They need jobs they hate because they cannot support themselves otherwise. They need relationships that damage them because they cannot regulate their own emotional states. They need constant validation because they have no internal sense of worth. This is not masculinity. This is managed helplessness. The self-sufficient man has built capability across domains. He can support himself financially through skills that remain valuable regardless of employment status. He can manage his emotional landscape without requiring external stabilization. He can handle the practical demands of existence without needing rescue. This does not mean isolation. It means foundation. The difference is everything. When you do not need a specific job, you can walk away from exploitation. When you do not need a specific relationship, you can maintain boundaries. When you do not need validation, you can pursue truth even when it is unpopular. This is freedom, not freedom from all constraints, which is impossible. Freedom from unnecessary dependencies that give others leverage over your choices. Building this requires years of deliberate effort. It requires learning skills that generate value. It requires developing emotional resilience through exposure to difficulty. It requires becoming comfortable with solitude so that being alone does not equal being lonely. Most men avoid all of this because it is uncomfortable. They remain dependent and call it connection. They remain weak and call it human. The Machiavellian perspective is unforgiving on this point. The dependent man is a liability to himself and to anyone who relies on him. When crisis comes, he collapses because his foundation is external. The self-sufficient man weathers crisis because his foundation is internal. He has built something that cannot be taken away by others. And in a world where everything can be taken, this is the only real security. There is a trap that catches most men who think about power. They believe the goal is to avoid all conflict, to create a life so smooth and frictionless that nothing threatens their comfort. This is a fundamental misunderstanding. Comfort is the enemy of capability. The man who optimizes his life for maximum ease becomes progressively weaker because he never develops the capacities that come from handling difficulty. Machiavelli studied leaders who built empires and leaders who lost them. The pattern was clear. Those who sought comfort became soft. Their judgment atrophied. Their ability to make hard decisions eroded. When crisis arrived, they were unprepared. They had spent so long avoiding discomfort that they had lost the capacity to function within it. The empire collapsed, not because of external force, but because of internal weakness developed over years of comfort-seeking. The masculine ideal is the opposite. It is seeking challenges that develop capability, not seeking suffering for its own sake, which is stupid, seeking difficulty that builds something useful. The difference is intentionality. Random suffering is meaningless. Strategic discomfort is growth. This means choosing the harder path when the harder path develops you. It means taking on responsibilities that stretch your current capacity. It means entering situations where failure is possible because possibility of failure is what makes success meaningful. The man who only does what he knows he can do never grows beyond his current limitations. Most men avoid this completely. They choose the easy job over the meaningful one. They avoid difficult conversations. They quit when pursuit becomes uncomfortable, and then they wonder why their lives feel empty. The emptiness comes from absence of growth, from years spent in comfort that developed nothing. Consider what mission-driven masculinity looks like. You have an objective that matters to you. Building something, creating something, achieving something that requires sustained effort over time. Pursuing this objective will be uncomfortable. It will require sacrifice. It will demand that you operate beyond your current capacity. The comfort-seeking man abandons this the moment it becomes difficult. The mission-driven man endures because the objective matters more than his immediate comfort. This is not about being miserable. It is about refusing to let comfort be your primary decision-making criterion. When you face a choice between what is easy and what moves your mission forward, you choose mission. Not every time, which would be unsustainable, but consistently enough that progress accumulates. The result is capability. You become someone who can handle difficulty, who can persist through obstacles, who can make progress even when circumstances are unfavorable. This is power, not power over others necessarily. Power to create and achieve regardless of external conditions. Machiavelli wrote extensively about reputation because he understood it as force multiplier. Once established, your reputation precedes you. It shapes how others perceive and respond to you before you even speak. The man with a reputation for keeping his word does not need to convince people he is trustworthy. The man with a reputation for competence does not need to prove he can handle challenges. The reputation does the work. But reputation must be built deliberately. It cannot be purchased or inherited. It comes from consistent demonstration over time. You decide what you want to be known for, then you demonstrate those qualities repeatedly until the pattern becomes undeniable. This requires discipline. One instance of breaking your word destroys trustworthiness. One instance of backing down destroys strength. One instance of incompetence damages credibility. Most men either ignore reputation entirely or try to be liked by everyone. Both are failures. If you do not manage your reputation, others will define you based on their interests, not yours. If you try to be liked by everyone, you stand for nothing and get respected by no one. The strategic approach is to be very clear about what you want to be known for and very consistent about demonstrating it. This means accepting that some people will not like you. The man known for setting firm boundaries will be disliked by those who want to cross boundaries. The man known for direct honesty will be disliked by those who prefer comfortable lies. This is fine. Being liked is not the goal. Being respected for specific valuable qualities is the goal. Your reputation becomes your strategic asset. It creates opportunity because people seek out those known for specific capabilities. It provides protection because people think twice before crossing those known for responding to disrespect. It establishes position because being known for something valuable elevates your standing in any hierarchy. But this only works if the reputation is earned. False reputation collapses the moment it is tested. The man who claims to be strong but backs down when challenged destroys his own positioning. The man who claims to be honest but lies when convenient loses all credibility. Reputation must be built on demonstrated action, not claimed qualities. Everything discussed here points to a single conclusion. Masculinity is not what you say. It is not how you appear. It is what you can actually do when circumstances demand it. This is the only standard that matters. Everything else is performance. The capable man does not need to announce his strength. It demonstrates itself through results. He does not need to claim dominance. His position speaks for itself. He does not need to perform toughness. His composure under pressure reveals his foundation. This is what Machiavelli understood that most modern men miss completely. Power is built in private and demonstrated in public. The building takes years. The demonstration takes moments. But without the years of building, the demonstration reveals nothing but emptiness. Most men get this backward. They focus on the demonstration. They work on their appearance, their presentation, their performance. They neglect the building entirely, and then they wonder why no one respects them despite their displays. The answer is simple. People recognize performance instinctively. They sense when there is no substance behind the show. And once they sense it, no amount of performing can restore credibility. The alternative is to focus exclusively on building capability and let reputation emerge from demonstrated competence, to develop skills that generate value, to cultivate emotional control that provides strategic advantage, to establish self-sufficiency that eliminates unnecessary dependencies, to pursue meaningful objectives despite discomfort, to manage reputation through consistent action over time. This is the masculine ideal, not a set of behaviors to perform, a foundation to build, not something you do for others, something you do for yourself. The respect that follows is consequence, not goal. The power that accumulates is byproduct, not pursuit. Machiavelli would tell you this. The world does not care about your intentions. It does not care about your feelings. It does not care whether you think you are strong. It only cares what you can actually do when tested. And the test comes whether you're ready or not. The question is whether you have built something capable of withstanding it. Most men have not. They have spent their lives performing strength while building nothing. When the test comes, they collapse. The foundation they thought they had built was only appearance, and appearance fails under pressure. The truly masculine man builds in silence, accumulates capability, develops control, establishes position, and when the test comes, he does not collapse. Because what he built was real, not performance, substance, not theater, arsenal. This is what separates effective men from everyone else, not what they claim, what they can do, not how they appear, what they have built, not their performance, their capability. The choice is simple. You can spend your life performing masculinity for others, or you can spend it building capability for yourself. One creates the appearance of strength. The other creates actual power. Choose carefully. The world will test your choice eventually, and when it does, only one survives.